Hello all. As we said on our last episode, what we are still gonna do with this algorithm, we almost have the object as we wanted, but now what we need to do is create these sections that make that kind of a texture, okay? We have to, it's going to be a bit more complicated because as you can see, in the middle of the object, it's more pronounced than in the, in the top, in the top part and the bottom part, okay? And we said that because we want on some continuity on that surface, on the ends of that surface. Okay, so this part is gonna be the most complicated one of our algorithm. I'll try to explain it as clear as possible. Okay, so the last thing that we made here, it's create that spin, and then those circles, we spam those circles, and we divided them, okay, on points, and then we connected those points basically to create those kind of lines. Okay, now what we need to do is, before creating those lines, somewhere in between here, okay, we are gonna make those points, these points here, which represent, I'm going to turn it on. Okay, so those points right there, which divide each circle, we need to scale one to the inside, one keep it there, one to the inside, one keep it there, one to the inside, one keep it there, or one to the outside, one keep it there, and so on. Okay, so that's to create that texture. And as we said, in the middle of the object is going to be more pronounced that scale, okay, that we're going to create. So to do that, we are going to need a component that is called dispatch. Okay, what the dispatch does, I'm going to put it here, and I'm going to show you a quick example of how it works. To show you, I'm going to get a series component, which what the series component does is creates a list. I'm going to show you that list with a panel. I'm actually going to get 2 more panels to see what's coming out of it. I'm going to put this here. I'm going to put this here. And then I'm going to put this here. So the series, by default, it creates a list that we can manipulate it as we can do with the range component, but we are not going to do that now. It creates a list, okay? And we can see that list, by default, starts from 0 and goes all the way to 9, 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on. And what the dispatch does, it's split that list, okay, and puts one item into one list or to one side, next one to the other one, next one to the first one, next one to the other one, and so on. We can manipulate that pattern by connecting something in the dispatch pattern entry. If we put the mouse on it, we can see it has a default value, which is true and false. We can change that by right-clicking there, and here we can set multiple booleans, and here multiple booleans, and we can, for instance, write again true, for instance. And what this is doing is putting the first one, the truths go to list A and the false go to list B. So now it's putting the first on the first list, next one on the second list, third one on the first list as we set up true, false, true. Then it goes again true, false, true, and so on. So that's what the dispatch does. But for now, we only need it to be as it is on default. We don't need, we're going to keep the Boolean or the dispatch pattern as it is. So I'm going to put one dispatch here. And I'm going to delete all this. Okay, so what's going to happen in a tree? Because here what we have is a tree, which we said it's a list of lists. So what it's going to do, I'm going to put a panel here quickly. So what this is going to do, it's divide each list. Okay, here for instance we have an X number of lists with an X number of items, and what that's going to do is divide each of those lists, okay, into A and B, and that's what we want, because we want to scale. In these circles, what we want to do is scale one, leave the other one as it is, scale one, leave the other one as it is, and so on. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is get something to scale them, and that will be scale non-uniform is gonna be the one that I'm gonna use. What this does is just scales a geometry on a plane, and we can set up if we want to scale or how much we want to scale on X, Y, or Z axis. Okay, for now what we're going to do is only scale in X and Y. Z, we're going to leave it as it is. The next thing that we are going to do is we can see here that we have I'm going to get actually a pattern viewer. Okay, and we have 18 branches with 10 items each on one list. On the other one, we have 18 branches with another 10 items. So now we have that number of items on each list is controlled by this right here. Which is the number of points that we are dividing each circle of the object. Okay, so the next thing that what we want to do is, after we do the scale, we're going to scale only one of those lists. I'm going to take list A and scale it. And let's get, for instance, I'm going to create a slider. That's going to go from 0.5 until 1. So we can create a scale in between those numbers. That's going to go to X and Y. And I'm going to start turning things off so we can see what's happening. And as you can see, as I move this, we can see some of the points are moving and some of the others are not. Okay, the other ones are staying as they are, which are the ones on list B. What we would have to do next is combine those two lists or trees, okay? So we can make an order of it, okay? Let's say, let's grab what we can do is just grab another interpolate, or two of them actually, one for list A and one for list B. And we are going to connect this here. And we are going to connect this here. Okay, and this one I'm actually going to delete it. And as you can see, the problem that we have is that they are being connected horizontally, which is what we explained on the last part of this algorithm. What we need them to be connected is vertically. So for that, what we did is create or get a flip matrix, which is this one here, and I'm gonna connect it here, and then I'm gonna get another one, or list B. Okay, and we can turn this off. And we can actually turn this off as well. Okay, so what do we have here? I'm going to move the scale factor. And as you can see, some lines are going in, some lines are going out, or are staying out, sorry. Okay, which is exactly what we wanted to do. Now we have to combine those lines. The thing is that if we create a loft, I'm gonna go get a loft. Okay, and what the loft does, it creates a surface connecting a series or an amount of curves. But if we connect, for instance, these curves here, okay, we don't see anything yet. Okay, the thing is that what this output of curve is giving us, we can see the line, okay, this continued line is a tree, and that tree, it has 10 branches with one element each. Okay, so we have 10 lists with one element on each list. What this is trying to do is connect the number of items on each list. There is only one curve on each list. It doesn't connect lists with lists. It connects items of lists with items of lists. So what we need is a list. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is right click and flatten. What this does, it creates a tree on a list. Okay, we can see now that what's coming out of it, it's a double line which represents a list. And I'm gonna do the same right here. And now I need to connect this here as well. But we don't have quite what we want. I'm going to scale this so we can see more or less what's happening. What this is doing, it's connecting all the items on the first list with each other, and then it jumps to the other list, the second list that I connected, and does the same thing. And that's what's happening here. But we don't want that. We want to connect one item from one list, then grab the other one from the other list, then grab the other one from the other list, and so on. So we can have that kind of zigzag. Okay, so what we need to do basically is the opposite of the dispatch. And for that, we have a component that it's called wave. Okay, that it does exactly the opposite of the dispatch. By a pattern, it grabs, you connect one list here and another list here. It has a default pattern that it's 0, 1, which is the same as true, false from the dispatch, and we can manipulate that pattern if we want to grab different things, I mean in a different order from each list. Okay, but we want it as it is, as it has to be the same as the dispatch. And now we're going to connect it here. And now we have more or less the shape that we want. Okay, the only thing that we have a problem here is this kind of non-connection of the surface. So for that, I'm going to right click on the loft options, and here I have loft options, and I can check or tick the box of close loft. That's going to close that. That's perfect. The other thing that I need to keep in mind is that as I move this count, which divides each circle, okay, if that number is odd, I have this little thing here. I mean, I have a section that is different from the rest of them. That's because if that number is odd, then I'll have more items on one list than the other. Okay, so I need to make sure that this number slider is always even. For that, I'm going to double click it, and I'm going to click on the E for even numbers. That's going to make sure that however I slide it, it's always going to be an even number. Okay, the next thing that we are going to do, it's, we are scaling it properly, but we need to make sure that the top and the bottom part of our object are, or its scale, or the scale of those points is 1, okay? So they are all aligned, okay, with the circle, with the top circle, the same as in the bottom. And then as we go inside or more in the middle of the object, that scale is going to be getting bigger and bigger and bigger, okay? And as we go to the lower part or to the bottom part, we go back to 1, scale 1, okay, where those points are aligned. So for that, we're going to use the graph mapper. Okay, so our scale is not going to be controlled by a number slider, but it's going to be controlled by a graph mapper. Okay, so what I'm going to do is copy this algorithm here. That we created so many times in this tutorial. Okay, I'm going to put it somewhere here, and then I need to change some things. So for instance, the domain of these values, I want them to go from, we're going to be controlling a scale, so I want them to start from here and to go to 1. Remember that the construct domain by default it's go from 0 to 1, so I'm going to leave it as it is. We are in in this step here, we are scaling vertically. I mean, the number of items on our list from the graph mapper is going to be the same as the other ones, because, I mean, which defines the number of circles that we have to create the object. So that's why we are using the same range with the same steps. Okay, we are using this same one. So the next thing that we're gonna do is connect this to the scale to control the scale of our object. Scale in X and scale in Y. We have this kind of shape because of the kind of graph we are using, which is pretty cool. I mean, as we can see, or the advantage of using the graph mapper is that we can change the graph type or manipulate the graph we have and change the shape or the design of the object. For now, we are looking for the one that has something that can give us the texture in the middle and a little bit flat, or more straight on tops. So for that we can use, for instance, the parabola. And the parabola, it's exactly what it does. We have the shape and the texture are more pronounced in the middle of the object and less pronounced in the boundaries. As we can review what we can control on this, for instance, the scale. Then we can control, of course, the number of those little sections. Okay, and then if we go further back, we can even change the shape of our object. Okay, just as easy as this. The length and then the angle of those of that spin. You can change it here. Okay, so it's pretty very useful. The other thing that the last thing that we can do to finish this, it's create. Imagine we want this to 3D print it. So we need to export the mesh, the mesh. So we need to create it or make it a solid object. So that's what we're gonna do on the next episode. I'm going to show you how to make it solid. For that, we're gonna use mainly Rhino. It's gonna be very easy, very basic, and then we can export it to, I don't know, do whatever we have to do with it. Thanks for watching and see you next time.